Okay, what electronics do you have?
For home appliances, we have the standard refrigerator, dishwasher, oven,
Microwave.
Okay, let's take a look. We have,
Gamepad.
what's this?
A controller.
A PlayStation 3 controller. We still use that.
I have my guitar, my computer, two Kindles, 2 phones, camera, headphones, and my guitar.
Usually we have phones, tablets, video game consoles, and laptops.
We have a gamepad, Wii gamepad.
Wii U gamepad. Let's go through one at a time. What else do we have here? What this is?
A remote.
It's a phone.
So how often do you buy electronics?
Every year or a couple years, it really depends on the electronic. We usually just replace it.
We buy electronics maybe every 2 months. We purchase something new.
I usually get electronics around my birthday or holidays.
They last actually a pretty long time, about 10 years, so we don't actually buy them very often, only when they break.
So what happens to them when they get old, outdated, and broken? What do you do with them?
Usually some home warranty comes and picks it up and either gets replaced or refurbished.
Once we reach the point that we're not using it anymore and it's sitting somewhere unused, that's when we decide to stow it away somewhere in a box. And then later on at some point we realize we're never going to use it again, and that's where we either throw it out or put it out on the street.
Devices get old or outdated. Things like my Kindles, I've just kept them all my life. But like my phones, we try to recycle them at the library.
We usually put them away somewhere, possibly store them, and sometimes they end up getting donated.
Where do you think they all end up in the end?
I hope they're being recycled, you know.
Usually with the hopes of someone else might need it. If we put it on the street, we'll be out there, but if it doesn't, then it just goes in the trash, and wherever the trash goes with the rest of the trash.
When we recycle them, I think, I don't know what happens to them. I figure the parts are used to make other products and stuff.
What's e-waste to the best of your knowledge?
Well, e-waste is electronic waste. I don't really know how to describe it though.
Sounds like electronic waste, so it's probably an electronic junkyard. I hope they're cycled for parts first, but you know, we don't know.
E-waste, to my best guess, is electronic waste, which is things that you throw out of electronic nature.
And what's e-waste? You know what that's about?
It sounds like an electronic junkyard. I hope that's not what that is, but that's probably what it is.
For years now, we've been exporting most of our dirty industries overseas. And now it seems we're doing the same with the most dangerous junk that's left over from our consumer goods. We've been led to believe by many manufacturers that our used TVs and computers are being safely recycled, But on a recent trip to Africa, Dateline's Giovanna Vitola found that a staggering amount of the world's e-waste is ending up being burnt in open dumps in impoverished Ghana. It's creating an environmental and health nightmare there.
This is Agbogblosh, Africa's biggest electronics wasteland, where thousands of old computers and TVs are dumped every day. Amos is just 15 years old. Each day, he and his friends come here to scrape together a living. Their aim is to melt the plastic of these wires to try and salvage the small amount of copper inside.
You find children, some as young as 5 years, coming here to burn, just in front of us.
Mike Anani is an environmental journalist who has been investigating the dumping of electronic waste in Ghana.
What is happening is that the electronic waste, the heavy metals, the toxic components are affecting the development of these children. These children are not growing the way they are supposed to grow.
An international convention has made it illegal to ship hazardous e-waste to developing countries without a permit. So, the usual tactic is to falsely declare them as working second-hand goods.
At a scrapyard in the Ghanaian capital Accra, workers burn electronic cables to extract precious metals. Electronic products with a large quantity of copper are highly sought after by scrap dealers.
Yeah, if we get a chance, someone dispose computer items, we do buy so that we scrap it as aluminium copper to burn it.
Workers, both adults and children, sift through the ashes for scraps of metal. When it rains, ashes flush into nearby ponds and rivers where animals graze. Across the scrapyard, hundreds of workers take apart electronic products. Only the parts containing copper, such as electric cables, as well as metal and plastic casings are kept for recycling. The rest are dumped or burnt, as there are hardly any e-waste recycling facilities in the country to process them. Greenpeace scientist Kevin Brigden says the toxic content of electronics could have dire consequences on those who are repeatedly exposed to them.
Heavy metals present in some devices, such as lead, cadmium and mercury, are highly toxic, even at low doses. They can have effects on the nervous system, on the kidneys and other organs. Of particular concern is the effects of lead and mercury on the developing nervous system in children. Other chemicals, including some brominated flame retardants, can build up in our bodies through repeat exposures. Many of the chemicals present in electronic devices are environmentally persistent. That is, once released, they will remain in the environment for long periods of time.
Ghana is rapidly becoming one of the favored destinations for obsolete computers and other electronic waste from developed countries. Local experts say much of the electronic products arriving in West Africa are declared as second-hand goods. But in reality, the majority of them are e-waste.
The bulk of the computers that are shipped here, the old, obsolete, second-hand computers are broken. They just don't work. So why would anybody want to give us computers that don't work? It is dumping and nothing more. People in the developed countries bring them here ostensibly to bridge the digital gap. But in actual fact, they are creating a digital dump. We don't need all these obsolete computers because of the health and environmental implications.
Today, dumping of hazardous waste from developed countries to developing nations is prohibited under the Basel Convention. Environmental campaigners say laws alone cannot stop the growing e-waste trade in West Africa.
We do not have the facilities to recycle them. They are killing our people because they contain very heavy toxic metals. there is no way that we can deal with these problems.
Electronics producers should take responsibility by banning toxic chemicals from their products, and they should take back their products and recycle them in a proper way when they become waste. Only then can they prevent their products from ending up in developing countries like Ghana, where they pollute the environment and harm people's health.
And where do you think they all end up at the end? The junkyard?
Yeah, the electronic junkyard.
I don't know what happens to them. I figure the parts are used to make other products and stuff.
You think some of them get sold back into the mainstream society after they're refurbished?
Yeah, I do believe that.
Where do you think they all end up in the end?
I hope they're being recycled.